It's working yet again! Welcome to the edge of Western civilization, Venice Beach, California, Californication, the big CA, oh yes! You are welcome here. It is a beautiful day. This is show number 34. Today is June 24th, 2014, 19 something, I don't know, maybe in an alternate universe. But this is probably going to be my last show for a while. I'm going to be heading to the gathering either tonight or tomorrow. Or yep. And so I just want to say it's probably going to be a short show too, because they only have about half the battery. But that's cool because I got something I want to do. So this has been when I came back from the East Coast. It was my vision to kind of get going with this, and to try to do it every day until I went to the Rainbow Gathering, and I've only missed 4 days, you know, and so that feels good, right? 34 shows, pretty impressive. We beat the record. My last run was on cable. It was 26 shows before I didn't have any studio time, or took 4 months to book studio time. The world is so weird. Life is so strange. So, and one of the reasons why I decided to do this was because, in part, inspired by my friend Kelly Phipps. You know, we were friends a long time from when we met in 1995, and we had a very strange relationship that sometimes was like brothers, sometimes was like parent and child. More me being the parent, if you knew Kelly. And as most parent and child relationships, it was often, you know, some sort of rebelling. You know, it's like he often cast me as in that role to rebel against it. Go figure. And it took years. It took me to realize that that's what was going on. And but anyway, one of the things that happened in our relationship was I would often have these ideas about how to kind of fast forward his. You know, he was such a tremendous astrologer and creative spirit that I, you know, like, I'll give you an example. He had this book series. It's called the Star Elf Dodecagy, 12 book series that he had planned out. And he'd published one, the first book, called Aryan Brazenwood, and that's the name of his son. He came up with this concept when he was like 14, 15 years old, and he named his son, who was born about 2 months after he and I met, and who just graduated from high school, so 18 years ago. And he named his son after didn't name him after himself, you know, Aryan Phipps. He named him after the main character of his astro fantasy novel. And if you want to get an understanding of what this astro fantasy novel series is about, it's like if you imagine if Star Wars and J.R.R. Tolkien's worlds had a baby. It's like that. And unfortunately, that first book is pretty much probably the only book you're ever going to see in that series, because, I mean, while he did so much voluminous research. I mean, he built. One time I went to his apartment. He had a whole wall of of books that he had that were notebooks of characters and worlds within this whole. Literally, he had a globe of one of the planets in a solar system that most of all the action takes place in the first novel in that series. But he literally created a whole universe. He created a whole astrology based on that solar system that planet was in. I mean, he actually he developed this game. There's a game called Bloodsport. It's like football, but with elves and dwarves and all that kind of stuff. And he adapted it to his world with all the elves and dwarves and whatnot, right? And he actually, I think the game Bloodsport is rugby. It's a rugby board game with all these elves and dwarves and stuff, but he adapted it to football, right? So, because I think it was made by Australians, and so he had a whole league of players, and he played the whole league, every game of the whole league, for 10 years, and he had all the stats of every player in the whole league. There's like, I don't know, it's like 6 or 10 teams, and they would all. He had every player in every position. He could tell you, what that dragon, what his skill set was, down to the minutiae, and how he got injured, and and he would have a draft, and he had all of this in notebooks and notebooks of, There you go. I don't know. So, you want to know more about what? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So, you must be doing something right when the guy that collects bottles out of the garbage can wants to stop and talk sacred geometry with you every time he comes by, because he's inspired by the work. So, might be doing something right. Anyway, I'm sure it looks like I'm once again just standing here talking to myself, which is no big deal on Venice Boardwalk, thank goody. So my friend Kelly, I would often come up with these schemes to try to expedite him, especially as technology got more over the years capable of manifesting our dreams and visions, our creative dreams and visions. I often would get these inspirations for myself for what I could do with my own work, but I'd also get it, for Kelly, and I'd go to share them with him, and I'd share them and everything like that, and often sometimes he would like, oh yeah, let's do that, right? Like we had we at one point we were doing so many web projects, so it just became like a natural thing that we ended up becoming partners we had our own server with 30 websites on there, and pretty much half and half, like I hosted my high school classes website on there for a number of years, and I had my own davidalexanderenglish.com on there, and just whatever website ideas we'd come up with, we had our own server, and we had one more partner for a short time in this server. For the most part, for several years, it was just him and me in the early 2000s, early to mid 2000s, until the economic collapse. Then we both had to pare down. I mean, we had to get out of that. And so one of the ideas, I mean, what am I trying to say? Okay, so I would often have these ideas about how to expedite his process, because at the rate he was going, it was looking like, you get, this series of 12 books that he had to write, or 11 at that point, because he'd already done the first one. It seemed like he was going to, you know, if he lived a long life, he'd be lucky to finish them all. And this was not his only project. You know, he had astrology books to write, and, you know, being an astrologer, personal astrologer, he was doing astrology charts for people, and then, you know, he did the astrology movie and documentary and everything. And so, you know, I was always trying to think about, like, how can we get this, because he kind of told me the whole story, you know, most of it, you know, just a general outline. And I was like, that's friggin' amazing, and everybody really needs to see that and hear that. Hello. Hey, how are you? Life is good. Life is good. There's more right there. These guys, yeah. Yeah. So just so you know, you're on camera. I do a live stream at 6 o'clock.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. A live feeding to who? I have a YouTube channel.
Ah, cool.
Say hi to Mom.
Hey, Mom. Mom, let me be. I'm an adult.
Yeah. So this is how far we got yesterday with this. Boom. And we're gonna take it up a notch, as Emerald would say. Take care, Wes. So my friend Kelly, I'd be trying to get him, you know, to expedite the situation, expedite that project, among other things. And, you know, thinking of different ways we could kind of, I just, you know, wanted the world to be able to appreciate him for his talents and abilities on a wider scale, you know. And so, you know, we came up with the, we actually did a test. We wanted to do this thing called Star Talk, like the NPR show Car Talk. We wanted to do an astrology call-in show that would also be a studio audience, and, you know, we put up a you know, somebody's astrology chart or the astrology chart of the moment, and have a group of astrologers talk about it, you know. And whenever you get a group of astrologers around talking about astrology, it becomes, in a way, it becomes kind of a beneficial pissing contest, in that, you know, everybody's trying to, you know, get a good point in, and from the sidelines, you know, it's like you. In some ways, I mean, if people are really good, it becomes like Dharma combat. You know, you inspire one another to deeper revelations about astrology or about the chart and metaphysics in general. You know, and it's always fascinating if you're like a fly on the wall. You know, get a couple of astrologers around, and that's really how astrology is learned. It's really an oral tradition. You know. And just for me, I mean, that's how I learned, is by having somebody like Kelly to ask a lot of stupid questions over and over and over and over and over again, you know. It's one thing that, you know, you can study books and all that, but there's nothing like, you know, talking about a subject with somebody that knows way more than you do. And there's stuff that aren't in the books that they're going to be able to say, oh, yeah, they're blah, blah, blah. And you're like, what? You know. And that was always happening with my man. So, the idea was to, try to get them on camera. We actually did. Well, we didn't have a camera at the time, so we did a test at a radio station in Boone, North Carolina. It was a call-in show on somebody else's radio show, and 4 of us astrologers went into the studio, and I mean the time went by so fast, but we had so much fun. We had, it was so much fun. There's a seagull right there. I know. Life is good. Doing a live stream right now. Yeah. Just so you know. You could be on camera, in fact. Now you are. Where are you folks from? Whereabouts? Born and raised? Really? Wow. It's tough.
It's tough.
Isn't it? You know me? Cape Cod.
Not here.
What's that?
Not here.
When?
Yeah.
First time I think was in 1989.
Okay.
That's when the first time I set up on the boardwalk. Yeah, I was traveling around the country, and I had a friend that moved here from my hometown, and I was like, huh, I like it here. This is where this fits, you know. And it's got, you have the mountains right there, you have the ocean right there, you have this, and for what I do, you can't ask for a better spot. So, in fact, I was in a conversation earlier this afternoon with somebody who's also has spray paint on. We were like, I was like, name me a better place. Name me a better place for what we do. It's like, well, New York, yeah, like in the wintertime. In New York, it's like, no. Yeah, all these places you mentioned, for the most part, they have this thing called winter.
Yeah.
You can't do it, 365. So, and this Key West is like second, but it's, Key West is like 1/10 of it. And it's only 4 hours a day. And this is from 9 in the morning to sunset.
What do you mean it's only 4 hours a day?
It's the Key West thing is 2 hours before sunset and 2 hours after. The sunset doesn't.
Okay.
From now to here. You ever been to Key West? I set up there in the first time in '89 as well. And I did it. I would kind of do the route for a number of years. Spend the winter there. Come and then go back to the Cape for the summer. Liking the wave, are you?
Do you paint all these?
Yeah. What do you think?
Well, no, I know that. I just didn't know if they were like.
Well, yeah, these are prints.
Oh.
Yeah. That's called flying.
Blind over. This is fast. So.
I know your buddy.
Not yet. He's He's he goes to UF because he is hitchhiking across the states.
That movie. So weird. That's cool. There you go. Here's my blurb.
Okay.
Favorite color.
Purple, pink.
Hey man, how's it going?
Another beautiful day.
It is another beautiful day. Really?
I think coffee.
Alrighty then. Good guys.
You gonna get a 10 back?
I don't know. Why do you need 10?
Just looking at the number here.
But why wouldn't I just give you $5?
College students. So,
But I'm asking you, like, you gave me 20. Why wouldn't I just give you $5?
it's just. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I was just hoping to get a 10 on my wall and try to pass one on you. No, I'm a 10.
Ah, that would explain it. All right.
Take it easy.
Take care. Yes. Yay! Gas money. All right. So, talking about my man Kelly. We don't have a lot of battery here today. What do we got? We got 34% right now. I want to talk and paint, as it were. What the hell does that mean, as it were? I mean, I know how we use it, but what does it really mean? So, saying all that to say, you know, I used to try to basically put my boot in Kelly's butt to kind of expedite his progress towards stardom, and then finally a couple of years ago I realized that I didn't need to play that role anymore, and that I had better focus on the energy that I was putting into trying to get his thing going. Whoa, I should, people with segways. And segways and sand, they don't go well together, you know. And today I just heard on the radio, they just banned segways from the boardwalk, so you'll only be able to use them over here. Because somebody ran into a lady in the Segway and she broke her hip, and city council didn't like that. LA is really a small town when it gets right down to it. You know, it's just a bigger small town. So, because what would happen with Kelly is I would come up with an idea, or he would call me up, and he'd say, well, this is happening, and that's happening, and blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, well, you know, what you should do is blah, blah, blah. And he would like, and he'd like put the kibosh on and be like, oh, no, I can't do that, right? I was like, but it's a great idea, blah, 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 you know, and he'd be like, nah, no, right? 6 months, 8 months, a year later, a year and a half, sometimes 2 years later, he'd do the thing I said that time, right, and gave me all sorts of grief about, and then I'd be like, dude, you know, he'd call me up and say, hey, I did this, da, 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 da. And it's like, didn't we have a conversation about it? Didn't I tell you that that was what you should probably do or whatever, you know? And he'd be like, well, a brother's got to do it himself, you know? And I'm like, okay, well, whatever. And after that happened, you know, year after year and so many different times, eventually was like, you know what, I need to put this energy that I have for, you know, promoting him into promoting my own work, you know? And so you know, we did this, the idea for the show, what was called Star Talk, you know, we had a group of astrologers together and talking about some, you know, a chart. At the time, I think we did the chart of the moment, and then somebody called in, and then we talked about their chart, you know, and the pilot was really good, but the problem was it was on the radio, and you didn't get to see all the animation, especially of Kelly, who's a very animated person. So, and you know, the other three astrologers, myself included, were all, you know, his ex-students. Hello. Let me attend to business. So you're on camera. All the frames out.
Yeah.
That one is I painted it on my show. Oh, it's a new show at 6 o'clock. So I'm live streaming right now. It's on YouTube. You can watch that being created, I think it was last Wednesday or Thursday on YouTube. With the frame it's 35. Without the frame it's 15. Oh, the guy created the beer can feel about 5. Yeah, 10 seconds. We'll take one with the frame. Did you take cart? Yeah. It'll be 36.50 with the cart. Okay, let's go. Well, take a because I'm going to be $1.50 short of my trying to get the cash. Oh, okay. This piece is called Flying, remember? And it's part of that series, the LiVE Fly series. So this is just more shameless self-promotion. So I just put your, you know, my name and the copyright notation on there, website, and where and when you got it, and the title of the piece.
So if he's got that, it's not good.
Pardon? Ready then.
I never liked the fact that you see the roof going.
It's a PayPal.
Okay.
It's called PayPal here for the iPhone. Okay, so 3650. Charge card number. So we do this.
Yeah, no, really even
Let's do this. I love this part. Takes a picture of your card.
Yeah, I saw how it even brought it up. Like, I was like worried. I was like, I don't think it's gonna even recognize those numbers.
Yeah.
Some of them are all like in the green.
Yeah.
It still picked it up.
Yep. There we go. 085. Billing zip code. Billing zip code.
90275.
90275. Charging. Payment complete. Email yourself the receipt. You would. You're all set.
Okay.
It went.
Okay.
Good. Thanks. See, your receipt has been sent. Good. What's your name, brother?
Robbie.
Supporting the work. Your purchase just helped you get to the Rainbow Gathering
Oh yeah.
in Utah. Yep. Gas money. Take care, Robbie. You too. Yep. Okay. Shut it off. There we go. Cool. So we got 3%. We're gonna get some paint on this canvas. Which figures? That's an interesting way to put it. But I started doing the and yeah. So, been a pretty was probably in 2 weeks. And enough money to get there. But I never did. It's good. This winter, I went to see him and he asked me to cut